Can you all hear that?
No sound on our part.
Cooperative Extension family and consumer science agents so that they can support community-based programs. Examples of cooperative extension programs include nutrition education classes for youth, adults, and seniors, demonstrations at farmers markets, food pantries, schools, childcare centers, and other community sites, education at health fairs, food preservation classes, and more. Volunteers receive rigorous training to ensure that they are prepared to assist with these programs and so that they can answer community members' food and health-related questions.
One of the programs I really love is the kids program that we do, Color Me Healthy. I really love that one. And to see the kids try new foods, and sometimes they go through it and they will eat the whole thing and find out, oh, I like that. I said, good, good.
You're looking at different products, you're looking at, you know, farm to table, you're looking at things that are locally grown, and it makes you more aware of what's available. And then that information then you impart to other people and hopefully get them to make better choices with their foods.
The Extension Master Food Volunteer Program consists of 30 hours of training in the core curriculum, which covers all of the basics in family and consumer sciences. Volunteers are then required to shadow their supervising agent for 30 hours and complete 20 hours of service and 10 hours of continuing education a year.
It's like you're almost looking at a small degree.
I felt that the NC Extension group did a really good job of communicating the information, helping us to understand what the goals are.
It's not just that, you know, they're there to volunteer and to give back to the community, but it's also that they're learning something new. So the other community members, they're like, well, I want to learn more.
I think that being out there in the community, it makes a difference one person at a time, and you may not reach every person, but if you reach one or two people, you're making a difference in their lives.
Now I can do more. Before it was just me, and now because I can reach more people through them, and also I can get more participants to my programs because they are always talking about what we do and what kind of programs we offer.
I enjoy it. I really do.
Did that make sense? Okay. Gonna exit big screen mode and stop share. Were you guys able to hear most of that?
Yeah, most of it. After
Okay.
about probably 30, 45 seconds.
Okay. All right. Sweet. Because I was paranoid the whole time. I'm just gonna regurgitate what she was talking. Oh. I'm gonna exit out of YouTube and share with you the role description is what I want to share with you. And this is just gonna kind of run down, give you a rundown of everything that we have as far as the program. And I want to clarify one of the things that she did say, because I don't want there to be any confusion. Make this a little bigger. All right, so, and you guys can see that, right? All right. I'll just let that be. That's what happens when you're in the office. So, as our leader was saying up at the university, Dara Bloom, she's the one that kind of headed this program up with Extension. There will be 30 hours of core training. Now, what I've decided to do in order to levy the situation that we have now is to convert things to an online format in which they'll be kind of like this, a Zoom or some type of webinar format in which you're able to kind of interact, ask some questions, things like that, as well as the session will be recorded. So it'll be recorded. If you need to go back to it, look at the slides or anything like that. And I usually share the slides with folks. I'll go ahead and give them all of their slide notes, everything that they'll need for that session. And then we plan to have at least 4 sessions where we will be in person. So that will consist of going to the grocery store. You will be doing taking all the steps and precautions that I would take when I go out and do a cooking demo or I go out and serve the community. That's what you will be doing. And then you will do a cooking demo in front of me, and maybe we might have some other educators come in and kind of just watch you and see how you're doing. But some of the things that will kind of lead up to that will be training in, as it lays out here, food systems. You'll have a local foods training, teaching strategies, food safety training, things like that. You also have the knife skills. All of those things will be combined, including how do we conduct demos when we're at these various places, whether it be at a food pantry, whether it be at a farmer's market. Sometimes we do get called by, we may get called by a local store, grocery store, especially your small town markets. But that doesn't happen that often. But yeah, those are some of the things that you will be engaging in. So that'll be a part of your 30 hours of core training. And I'm a former Navyman, so we always used to have work requirements and things that said, okay, this training or this work requirement actually takes, about the paper, it takes 3 hours, but we actually got the job done in an hour and a half. A lot of these things are timed, so I know how long it should take. Even if we finish before that time, I'll give you the full 2 hours for the training and whatnot. Anything that you do, as far as those 10 CECs that you have to get, continuing education is what I mean. Anything that you do where it's a webinar centered around food, nutrition, things like that, especially if it's attached to a .edu, you can record that. If it's something at your job, if you had to do food safety for your job, that's continuing education. However, what I do want to mention is that usually the things that I get as an agent, as far as training, if we are able, I will usually give you the link and allow you to sit in on that webinar, or they will allow you to sit in on that webinar and stuff like that. We just had one that was released for our volunteers for food waste. So there's one, I'll admit her, and stuff like that. So that can be a part of your 10 CECs. And how I usually do it, I'll just usually email you, and also just trying to do a better job about putting things in the portal. So that is there. You can see the 30 hours of shadowing. That's essentially a tag along or essentially what it says it is. You'll be watching the educator. So it's not always going to be me. You'll have multiple opportunities to go out with me and 3 other nutrition educators. All right, so they're FNEP educators, and that stands for Expanded Food and Nutrition Education Program. So if you love the schools, if you love working with low-income populations, they will be somebody good to shadow. And that's because they always have things going on. It'll be a good way to accumulate those shadowing hours. However, remind you that in my program in Guilford County, your shadowing hours will always 9 times out of 10 translate to volunteer hours. because I'm a firm believer in streamlining. If you know you have to get 30 shadowing hours, and then we also have the requirement of 20 volunteer hours, I just go ahead, once you've come to that 20 for volunteer hours, the remainder of that is the shadowing hours and volunteer hours. So they're both in the same to me. Because 9 times out of 10, I'm not gonna let you just sit down when you're shadowing me. You're going to be doing something. Whether that's being the, now if you're bold enough, you just come right in and you do what I'm doing and stuff like that. But if you're a person that has to get a little, you have to see it first and then kind of do it, then we'll work with that. But I don't see any reason why I should separate them, because either way, you're gonna be helping. So whatever you're getting in shadowing hours, volunteer hours as well. There's no need to separate the two to me, because you're essentially, really, you can't tell the difference other than shadowing will be somebody just sitting there hands off. And I take it that you came into this program because you really love the community and you want to teach people some of the things that you have already accumulated over your life, or that extension will be flowing out to the public. So we're very much a servant entity. So I don't take it that you'll want your hands to be tied. So I do want to separate that, and also the 30 shadowing and the 30 training. Once that is complete, that is done. You don't have to do that every year. Because I think at the end of that video, it kind of made it seem like all of that was no. The CECs and the 20 volunteer hours is what you have to get every year. And I'm a big fitness guy. I have had my personal training license through American Council on Exercise for about 5 years now. So even if you're a fitness type of person and that's something that you want to do, just let me know and we'll see how we can do some programming geared around fitness as well. I do like doing fitness because I think that that's a big part of health. Just making sure I don't have any comments in the comment box. But these are some of the responsibilities that you'll be going through. So we pride ourselves as being extension. And I don't know about show of hands or just type in the chat box, who's ever using that part of extension service. Anybody knows extension pretty well? If you do know, if you're familiar with our horticulture, our lawn and garden, things like that, you know that we love research-based information. We do not want to say, well, he said or she said or anything like that, because a lot of that stuff online is just somebody's personal opinion, or it could be keen observation, we don't know. But extension, specifically on the NC State side of the house, has one of the best, if not the best, food science program in the nation. They even operate internationally, so I've heard. So we love research-based information, getting it out to our public. These things have been tested. For most individuals, they will prove to work if people follow directions. That's what I have learned over the course of being an agent for about 3.5 years. You'll be able to communicate in tandem with me. I use the Remind app. I don't know if you guys use that, but you'll get an invite from me once you fill out your application and we get an interview and go to training. Now, I do want to stop there. Our application is a fillable form. So you have the option, fill it up, send it to me via email, or you can fill it up, do the old school, and send it to the office via mail. Once I get it, I'll go ahead and set up the interview. Interviews will look different this time. We can do a Google Hangout. We can also do, I know some folks use Skype. However, we like Zoom a lot of the times here. Zoom is a little under attack nowadays, but nevertheless, we're able to have you guys log in with passwords and things like that. But we also do phone interviews. I had to do that for an individual before. We try to keep it streamlined. It's not like this is an authentic hiring process, but we do want to screen our volunteers, and usually that's a 10 question, just little survey. I'll ask you, and it's pretty open-ended. Some of the things are yes and no, but I just want to get a chance to feel you out, get a chance to know who you are, see if you really, really want to invest time in this, because man, do I need volunteers? It's nothing like getting a phone call from a farmer's market and telling them, y'all, my hands are tied, I can't do it. And we actually do have a person that works, one of our volunteers, she works for ArtQuest downtown, and she has a pretty much 9 to 5 schedule or 9 to 6 schedule. And she has been out on the weekends doing demos with us and stuff like that. And he has even conducted one herself, and she really enjoyed it. So we have 2 college students now that have joined, and all we have 3. If you're wondering how many we have, we only started this program about 2 years ago, and just the time commitment. But my job and not intern, but administrative assistant's job is to stay in communication with you guys so that you can get through the program successfully in the first year. That way, once you get through that, you'll get your handy dandy name tag, and you'll get a nice sleek black apron, and you'll be able to wear that at anything that you come to involving food, and you'll be able to kind of smooth save, and you'll be on the path to just doing 20 volunteer hours along with those 10 CECs every year. So some of the things that you'll be doing in my county or here in Guilford, you'll be doing a lot of, like I said, cooking demos. You'll also be assisting with programs such as food preservation and food safety. One day you might be called to help me proctor safe plates. One day you might be called to help me proctor safe plates. And that's just our food safety curriculum that is synonymous to ServSafe, and it actually certifies you to be a food protection manager. So if we have a exercise class going on and you know you're an exercise savvy person, we might call you in to do that. It could be various things. Sometimes we go to health fairs, or we get called for health fairs, and that's one of them other things. I pick up the phone and I'm like, well, my schedule's kind of tight. I can't do it. However, one of our lovely volunteers might be able to do it, but don't ever feel like you are pressured to do something because Vincent cannot do it or one of the FNet PAs cannot do it. All right. So we want to work with your schedule. Usually I'll ask what your schedule will look like just so I can get a rough idea of what my volunteers have to manage throughout the week. And so I'll know, like, hey, the best time to, contact Charlie, is probably in the evening. I don't know. Or maybe the best time to contact Martha is during the day, morning, evening, afternoon, things like that. So I do want to get that feel during the process. There will be certain standards that you will have to uphold. We always remind folks that if you're out of market and somebody asks you something that would be outside of kind of like your scope of expertise, and that is if you caught it earlier, some things I said you can go out and do on your own. Some things I said you will be assisting me with, one being food preservation and one being food safety. A lot of those are kind of subjects where people tend to kind of try to do their own thing, when we do have research that says this is the best way to do it based upon the recent science. You will refer those questions to the agent, specifically food safety and food preservation. When it does come to nutrients in food and stuff like that, those kind of nuanced questions, they do want you from NC State down coming through me, they do want you to refer that to the agent so that we can get those to the specialist if we need to. Now, if you do have a nutrition background, just make sure, and stuff like that, that it is evidence-based, research-based, and not something just, hey, I've always done it this way. That's the biggest battle we have to fight as Extension. And you guys say that you use the Extension service, or you have used the Extension service throughout your life. So if you know us well, that's what we always battle: the YouTuber versus what has been proven. So that is something that we have to do. Now, interest, you just have to have an interest in working with Extension, partnering with us, a commitment to following guidelines and procedures, ability to communicate effectively. And you guys seem like you're pretty on top of that. Now, some of the benefits, i.e. the what will I get? You will receive in-depth training in areas listed previously. We even have certain conferences and certain webinars that are meant just for you. You'll receive training materials, and you'll be a valuable service in the community. So just like folks say they want to call or speak to a master gardener, hopefully one day we'll get this program to the point where people will say, hey, can a master food volunteer come out and do such and such and such? That's where we want to be. I hope, I aspire to be that for the community. So this is pretty much the commitment level. I've already kind of went over that and stuff like that. But the thing about it is you just have to have a love for your community, love for food and nutrition, and just general wellness. And that's all we ask. And if you're a person that's growing in that or just simply investigating food, nutrition, and wellness, then we encourage you to apply. You don't have to be Master Chef. You don't have to be Mr. or Mrs. Nutrition. You don't have to be this culinary genius, although we do have a volunteer who is a culinary graduate. And be careful when you do toot those skills, because I might have you come up and assist with teaching training. So if you say I'm a culinary specialist, I'm gonna bring you on up and you're gonna be doing those knife skills and stuff like that. And also, if you like to work with local chefs, some programs like Chef and the Child, you have the opportunity to work with a local chef. My traditional Med Instead of Meds program, we usually get a local chef to partner with me. So you'll be able to partner with him and help us teach that curriculum. And that curriculum is based on the Mediterranean eating pattern. So you'll get a chance to have access to all those recipes and all that stuff and get a chance to see it real time. Hopefully we'll get back to somewhat level of operation where we can see each other face to face so we can carry that out. But yeah, that's the type of stuff that that'll be expected of you, kind of like statewide for each county. And then of course, Guilford County as well. But does anybody have any questions? I'm going to stop the recording so that we can talk more freely.